Now to the latest in our series, Streets of Shame. We hear from a lot of viewers like you when it comes to the homeless crisis, but there are some myths about people living on the street. One USC professor says the public needs to understand the issue if a solution is ever going to happen. NBC4's Cádiz Klemack explains.
There's no doubt that homelessness in LA is on the rise, and the problems that come with it are getting worse. It's the reason the NBC4 Streets of Shame series exists, and why viewers reach out to us with their photos and videos of some of the worst they've seen. But Ben Henwood, a professor of social work at USC, says there's too many misconceptions that's keeping us from getting to the solution.
It's hard when people don't believe the number, and I think in part it's because that number doesn't align with kind of perceptions that people see out there.
When the homeless count was released earlier this month, it claims 76% of LA's homeless population is neither mentally ill or addicted to drugs. A hard pill of fact for some to swallow, likely because of what they see on the streets.
What you don't see are all the people out there who are homeless that are behaving in the same way that anybody else would. And so they go unnoticed. So there's kind of a systematic bias in perception.
Henwood is a researcher at USC with a focus on homeless issues. He says oftentimes certain studies are tossed aside because people just don't believe the outcome. But he says in LA's homeless case, the studies are multiple and the results are the same.
It's over time and it's multiple points of data. So, you know, I think any one study you look at, you should question. But when you have a series of studies and a sort of a base of empirical data, I mean, that's science.
Another misconception he points to is the belief that most of LA's homeless are not native to the area.
If you look at the numbers, most people either are from Los Angeles or were previously housed in Los Angeles, and then because of various factors end up homeless in Los Angeles.
In his book, Housing First, Henwood says the only way to solve homelessness is housing first, sobriety second. He says the takeaway for viewers at home is this: misconceptions lead to blaming homeless people for the crisis when there are far too many other factors to blame instead.
And it just feeds a narrative that's not going to be, again, productive in finding solutions to this, because it's not really reflective of reality.
In downtown LA, Cádiz Klemack, NBC4 News.
And NBC4 is committed to covering the homelessness crisis with our Streets of Shame series, and we welcome your story ideas. Just email them to tips@nbcla.com.